Hey, you. Ready to finally ditch those excuses and unlock some serious success?
Sounds good to me.
Well, today,
Yeah.
we're going to dive deep into Brian Tracy's No Excuses audiobook.
Awesome.
We've got some excerpts ready to dissect.
Okay.
And trust me, some of these insights are absolute gems.
I believe it.
It's all about, figuring out why some people just seem to crush it
Right.
while others get stuck in a rut.
Yeah, that's right. We'll be breaking down Tracy's core principles
Okay.
and connecting them to some fascinating research and real life examples.
Yeah.
Get ready for those aha moments.
I love those.
You might want to grab a notepad for this one.
Good idea. Okay, so Tracy kicks things off with this brilliant analogy.
Okay.
Someday I'll.
I like
He
it.
paints this picture of a tropical paradise,
Nice.
but for procrastination. It's where all those good intentions and I'll do it later promises end up.
We've all been there, haven't we?
Oh, totally.
That someday Isle is a comfy spot. But what's interesting is how Tracy frames it. He doesn't just say it's bad.
Right.
He compares it to a trap, a fatal attraction for our dreams.
Oh, wow.
That first hurdle to success.
Yeah.
It's voting yourself off that island
Okay.
and saying no more excuses.
He's not sugarcoating it either.
No, he's not.
Tracy flat out says there are 1,000 excuses for failure, but never a good reason.
Right.
And the antidote, self-discipline.
Exactly. He doesn't just mention self-discipline. He calls it the master key to riches.
Wow.
And what's fascinating is how he links it to nearly every aspect of life.
Okay.
Building character-setting goals, finding courage, being persistent. He argues that self-discipline is the fuel for achieving anything worthwhile.
So it's not just about willpower in one area. It's like this foundational strength that impacts everything.
Agree.
But isn't that kind of daunting? I mean, where do you even start?
That's where Tracy gets really tactical.
Okay.
He talks about taking action.
Right.
Even small steps. It's about shifting that mindset from someday to today.
I like that.
He shares the story about a dentist
Oh.
who attended a conference in Hong Kong.
Sounds random, right?
Right. But here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
At that conference, this dentist learned a cutting-edge technique.
Oh, wow.
It completely transformed his practice,
Right.
boosted his income,
Oh.
and
man.
even allowed him to retire early.
Wait, so a single conference changed his entire life?
It did. It's a perfect example
That's incredible.
of what Tracy's getting at.
Yeah.
It wasn't just luck. It was a deliberate choice to invest in himself.
Right.
Think about it. Who are the top performers in your field?
Ooh, good question.
What are they doing that you could learn from?
That's a good point.
Could a course, a book, or even a conversation
Yep.
be your Hong Kong conference?
That's such a good question.
Yeah.
It makes you realize you don't have to have it all figured out.
Right.
You just have to be willing to take that first step.
And that ties into another one of Tracy's big points.
Okay.
Long-term thinking.
Yeah.
Successful people, he says, are willing to make short-term sacrifices for those bigger long-term rewards.
Oh,
They understand the power of delayed gratification.
so choosing to study for an exam instead of going out with friends. Or investing time in building a side hustle instead of binge watching the latest show.
Exactly. Those choices might not be fun in the moment,
Right.
but they demonstrate a commitment to a bigger vision.
I see.
Tracy even lays out a formula
Okay.
for increasing your income by a whopping 1,000%
Whoa.
over 10 years.
Okay, 1,000%. You got my attention.
What's fascinating is that the steps aren't complex.
Okay.
He talks about investing in your knowledge,
Right.
setting clear goals,
Yeah.
and laser focusing on high-value tasks.
Okay.
Think of it like this. If you improved just 1% each day, compounded over a year, over 10 years,
Yeah.
the results are exponential.
That's actually mind-blowing.
It is.
But it sounds like a lot of work.
It is. But as Tracy points out,
Yeah.
the time is going to pass anyway. You can either be swept along by it,
Right.
or you can harness it and use it to create the life you want.
Okay.
He's a big advocate for continuous learning and improvement.
I like that.
He doesn't just focus on skills, though.
So it's deeper than just learning new things.
Right. He dives into the importance of character and things like courage and persistence.
So it's deeper than just learning new things.
Right. He dives into the importance of character and things like courage and persistence.
Yeah. He talks about how to overcome fear and develop resilience. I love that bit where he said, I am unstoppable.
Yeah.
It's like a mantra for pushing through tough times.
He's really emphasizing that we all face setbacks, right?
Right.
But it's the ability to bounce back, to not let those setbacks define us,
Okay.
that separates those who achieve their goals from those who don't.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the Stockdale paradox. The idea that you have to confront the brutal facts of your reality, but never lose faith in your ability to prevail.
I've never heard of that, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
Blind optimism won't get you through tough times.
Right.
But neither will giving up hope.
Right.
So how does Tracy suggest we cultivate this persistence?
He talks about recognizing and fighting against what he calls the path of least resistance.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
It's that pull we all feel towards what's easy and comfortable.
Right.
Even when we know it's not what's best for us in the long run.
Exactly. Tracy argues that self-discipline is the key to overcoming that pull.
Okay.
It's about making conscious choices that are aligned with our long-term goals.
Right.
And it starts with accepting 100% responsibility for our lives.
No, that's a powerful concept.
Yeah.
It's so easy to blame external factors for our lack of success.
Right.
But Tracy's saying that true power comes from owning our choices, both good and bad.
He's not saying it's about blaming ourselves, though.
Cool.
It's about recognizing that we have the power to choose our responses,
Yeah.
to learn from our mistakes, and to create the life we want. He brings up this fascinating fact. Only 3% of adults have written goals.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Only 3%. That's crazy.
It is.
It makes you realize how many people are just drifting through life without a clear direction.
And there's a ton of research that backs this up. People who write down their goals are significantly more likely to achieve them.
Oh, wow.
It's about clarity, commitment, and that act of putting pen to paper.
Tracy actually calls goal setting the master skill of success.
Right.
And provides a step-by-step process for setting and achieving goals.
He doesn't just talk about the how-to, though.
Okay.
He emphasizes that it's a continuous process of learning, adapting, and taking action.
Right.
He even shares this exercise called the 10-goal exercise, where you write down 10 goals every day for a month.
Wow, 10 goals every day. What's the point of that?
Tracy says it activates your subconscious mind.
Okay.
And opens your eyes to possibilities you might not have even considered.
Oh.
It's about breaking free from limited thinking and expanding your horizons.
So it's like training your brain to think bigger and bolder.
Exactly. And as you start to achieve some of those goals, your self-confidence grows. And you start to believe that you can achieve even more. It's a positive feedback loop.
It seems like a theme with Tracy is this idea of constant self-development.
Right.
He emphasizes that we are our most valuable asset and should be investing in our growth.
It's about recognizing our potential and continuously honing our skills, expanding our knowledge, and becoming the best versions of ourselves. Remember that 1,000% formula we talked about?
Yeah.
A big part of that is investing in yourself, reading in your field for an hour each day, listening to educational podcasts, attending courses and seminars.
It sounds like a lot, but if it can lead to a 1,000% increase in income, it seems worth it.
Tracy's point is that even small improvements compounded over time can lead to remarkable results.
Okay.
It's like that saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, the second best time is today.
So true. We can't change the past,
Yeah.
but we can choose to invest in ourselves starting right now.
Right.
It's about taking action and being consistent.
And he doesn't just say work hard.
Okay.
He highlights that talent isn't enough.
Right.
It takes dedicated effort to achieve mastery in any field.
Okay.
He cites the 10,000-hour rule.
Oh, yeah.
The idea that it takes roughly 10,000 hours of deliberate practice to become world-class at something.
10,000 hours. That's a serious commitment.
It is, but it also shows that success isn't some magical thing that only happens to a select few.
Okay.
It's attainable if you're willing to put in the time and effort. Tracy even provides specific advice on how to improve work performance.
Okay, I like that.
Get to work early, work harder, stay later.
Okay.
It's about going the extra mile and developing a reputation for excellence.
That's great advice, but isn't there more to it than just working longer hours?
Absolutely. He talks about working smarter, too.
Right.
It's about setting clear priorities, identifying your most valuable tasks, and getting those things done quickly and effectively.
Yep.
It's not just about effort. It's about focusing that effort where it matters most.
I love that it's about being strategic and making sure your actions are aligned with your goals.
Yeah.
But let's be real, sometimes even with the best planning, things get tough.
Sure.
That's where courage comes in, right?
He talks a lot about courage.
Okay.
He believes that to achieve anything worthwhile, we
Yeah.
need to overcome our fears and take risks.
Right.
He even has this technique he calls the 100 call method for salespeople who are struggling to break out of a slump.
The 100 call method? That sounds intense.
It involves making 100 sales calls as quickly as possible without worrying about the outcome.
Wow.
It's about facing that fear of rejection head on and building resilience.
I can see how that would be incredibly challenging,
Right.
but also incredibly empowering.
Right.
It's like ripping off the Band-Aid and realizing it wasn't as bad as you thought it would be.
Exactly. And the more you do it, the less scary it becomes.
Okay.
Tracy's point is that courage is a muscle that gets stronger with use.
Right.
And he emphasizes that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the control of fear.
That's such an important distinction.
Yeah.
We all experience fear,
Right.
but it's about not letting that fear paralyze us.
Right.
It's about taking action despite the fear. But even with courage, sometimes things still don't go our way.
Sure.
We hit roadblocks, we experience setbacks, we might even want to give up.
Yeah.
That's where persistence comes in, right?
He's very clear that persistence, or the lack of it, is the #1 reason people fail to achieve their goals.
Oh, wow.
He calls it the iron quality of success.
So it's not about never failing.
Right.
It's about never giving up.
Exactly. He's a big believer in the idea that winners never quit and quitters never win.
Yeah.
It's about developing that never give up attitude, that grit and determination to keep going even when things get tough.
But how do we develop that kind of persistence? It's easy to say never give up,
Right.
but it's a lot harder to actually do it.
He provides some practical advice on how to cultivate persistence.
Okay.
He talks about positive self-talk, focusing on solutions rather than problems, and surrounding yourself with supportive people who believe in you.
He also talks about the link between persistence and self-esteem, right?
Yes, every time we persist, every time we push through those tough moments and keep going, our self-esteem grows. It's like a muscle. The more we use it, the stronger it gets.
That makes so much sense. It's not just about achieving the goal.
Right.
It's about the person we become in the process.
Exactly. And that's what Tracy emphasizes. Success is a journey, not a destination.
Oh, I like that.
It's about constantly striving for improvement, about never giving up on our dreams.
Yeah.
And it all starts with self-discipline.
So far, we've been focusing on self-discipline at a personal level.
Right.
But Tracy also talks about how these principles apply to the workplace, right?
He does. In fact, he dedicates a whole section to leadership.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He emphasizes that self-discipline is essential for effective leadership.
So it's not just about managing others.
Right.
It's about managing yourself first.
Exactly. He argues that leaders are made, not born. It's about developing the qualities and skills necessary to inspire and motivate others.
Okay.
He outlines 4 levels of development in a career: employee, supervisor, manager, and leader.
Okay.
It's a progression of increasing responsibility and impact.
So true leadership goes beyond just telling people what to do.
Right.
It's about creating a vision and inspiring others to work towards it.
Exactly. And self-discipline is essential for setting that example.
Yeah.
He talks about the importance of setting priorities, working on high-value tasks, and minimizing distractions.
Okay.
He says the top 20% of people in any field get 80% of the rewards.
Wow.
And that this is largely due to their focus and discipline.
It's that Pareto principle again.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that we need to be intentional about where we focus our time and energy.
And it's not just about working harder, it's about working smarter.
Right.
He has that great line, come in a little earlier, work a little harder, and stay a little later.
It sounds so simple, but it's about going the extra mile and demonstrating a strong work ethic.
Right.
He also talks about the importance of dressing for success.
Right. Absolutely.
It's projecting an image of competence and professionalism.
First impressions matter, but beyond appearances, Tracy talks about the qualities that make a truly effective leader.
Okay.
He emphasizes courage and decisiveness,
Yeah.
being willing to make tough decisions and take calculated risks.
Right.
It's about being proactive, solution-oriented, and focused on results.
It's interesting how he connects self-discipline to things like courage and decisiveness.
Right.
It's like self-discipline provides the foundation for those qualities to flourish.
He also emphasizes the importance of building strong relationships and communicating effectively.
Yeah.
It's about creating a culture of trust, respect, and collaboration, where everyone feels valued and empowered.
I like that.
He believes that the greatest leaders are those who are committed to serving others and making a positive difference in the world.
Yeah. It's about leadership that goes beyond just achieving business goals.
Right.
It's about creating a positive impact on the people around you and on the world as a whole.
Exactly. And that's what makes Tracy's work so compelling. He connects self-discipline to every aspect of life.
Wow.
Personal success, leadership relationships,
Yeah.
even happiness and peace of mind. It's a holistic approach to living a truly fulfilling life.
So in the next part, we're going to dive into some of those other areas,
Yeah.
like business, personal finances, relationships, and health, right?
We are.
I'm really curious to hear what Tracy has to say about how self-discipline plays a role in those areas. All right, let's shift gears and explore how Tracy's principles of self-discipline apply to the world of business.
He's very clear that success in business requires that same high level of self-discipline we've been discussing.
Okay.
And it touches every area.
Yeah.
Product development, customer service, financial management.
So it's not just about having a great idea.
Right.
It's about having the discipline to execute that idea effectively.
Exactly. He emphasizes that you need a product or service people actually want and need.
Right.
It sounds obvious,
Yeah.
but so many businesses fail because they're not truly solving a problem for their target market.
It's like that saying, fall in love with the problem, not the solution. You have to really understand your customer's pain points.
He's a big believer in being customer-focused and exceeding expectations. He even uses that classic line, the customer is always right.
Okay.
It's about creating a positive customer experience and building those long-term relationships.
That makes sense. Loyal customers are the foundation of any successful business.
And building that loyalty takes discipline. It's about consistently delivering value, being responsive to feedback,
Right.
and constantly striving to improve. Tracy is also big on setting high standards and being proactive.
Okay.
It's about taking initiative, anticipating challenges, and finding creative solutions.
So it's not just about reacting to problems.
Right.
It's about getting ahead of them.
He also reminds us that business success takes time, effort, and persistence. There's no overnight success. You have to be willing to put in the work.
Right.
Even when it's tough, even when you're not seeing immediate results.
It's about having that long-term vision and trusting the process.
And being adaptable. The business world is constantly changing.
Right.
So you have to be willing to pivot,
Okay.
to adjust your strategy, to embrace new ideas.
That reminds me of something else. Tracy talks about building a strong team and delegating effectively. You can't do everything yourself.
Absolutely. He believes that successful businesses are built on a foundation of strong values, ethical behavior, and a commitment to serving others. It's about creating a company culture that fosters integrity, respect, and collaboration.
Okay, so we've talked about business in general, but Tracy also dives specifically into sales, right?
He does.
Since that's the lifeblood of any business.
He actually considers selling to be one of the most challenging and rewarding professions.
Really?
He says it requires a unique blend of skills, communication, persuasion, resilience.
It's definitely not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
You have to be able to handle rejection and keep going.
And that's where self-discipline comes in. He stresses the importance of developing a strong sales process.
Okay.
And following it consistently. It's about having a system, identifying prospects, presenting your product or service, effectively overcoming objections, and closing deals.
So it's about being strategic and not just winging it.
Exactly. He also highlights the importance of building rapport and establishing trust. People buy from people they like and trust.
Right.
It's about connecting on a personal level and demonstrating that you genuinely care about helping them.
That makes so much sense. People can sense when you're just trying to make a sale versus when you're genuinely trying to help them solve a problem.
And, of course, persistence is key in sales.
Yeah.
He stresses the importance of following up, overcoming objections, and finding creative ways to close the deal.
Right.
It's about being tenacious, but also respectful.
So it's about finding that balance between being persistent and not being pushy.
He also talks about the importance of staying positive and motivated, even in the face of rejection.
Right.
Sales can be tough.
Yeah.
But it's about having that mental toughness and believing in yourself.
It sounds like a lot of the principles we've been talking about, self-discipline, persistence, courage, they all come into play in a big way in sales.
They do. And Tracy believes that the most important thing in sales is to be yourself and to be genuine. People can spot a fake a mile away. It's about building authentic relationships based on trust and mutual respect.
It's about coming from a place of service, of truly wanting to help people.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about something that's often a source of stress for people. Personal finances. Tracy has a lot to say about that, too.
On all ears, money management can be so overwhelming.
He emphasizes that financial success isn't about luck or inheritance. It's about developing good habits and making smart decisions with your money.
Okay.
He believes that anyone can achieve financial independence if they follow some basic principles.
So it's about taking control of your finances and creating a plan for the future.
He stresses the importance of living below your means and saving a portion of your income each month.
Okay.
It's about avoiding unnecessary expenses and putting money aside for those future goals.
It's so easy to get caught up in lifestyle inflation. You
Yeah.
get a raise, you start spending more,
Right.
and before you know it, you're no better off than you were before.
He also highlights the importance of investing wisely to grow your wealth over time.
Okay.
It's about learning about different investment options and creating a diversified portfolio that aligns with your risk tolerance and financial goals.
It's about making your money work for you instead of just sitting in a savings account.
And he talks about the dangers of debt, particularly high-interest credit card debt. He recommends paying off debt as quickly as possible.
Okay.
To free up more money for saving and investing, it's about being responsible with your finances and not letting debt control your life.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Debt can be such a burden, both financially and emotionally.
Tracy also emphasizes the importance of having a long-term perspective. Financial success takes time, effort, and discipline.
Right.
It's about being patient, consistent, and staying focused on your goals.
It's about playing the long game and not getting discouraged by short-term setbacks.
Now, shifting gears to another crucial aspect of lifetime management, Tracy sees time as our most valuable resource.
Okay.
It's the one thing we can never get back.
That's true.
He talks about making conscious choices about how we spend our time and prioritizing the activities that are most important to us.
It's about being intentional with our time and not letting it slip away.
He stresses the importance of creating a schedule and sticking to it as much as possible.
Nope.
He recommends using a planner, a to-do list, or a time management app to help stay organized and on track.
Yeah.
He also highlights the importance of breaking down large tasks into smaller, more manageable chunks.
That can make a huge difference when you break a big project down into smaller steps. It feels much less daunting.
He also talks about setting boundaries and learning to say no. It's about protecting our time and making sure we're not overcommitting ourselves.
That can be so hard. It's easy to feel obligated to say yes to everything,
Right.
but it's important to remember that our time is valuable.
Tracy encourages us to be assertive and to remember that saying no to one thing allows us to say yes to something else that might be more important.
That's a good point.
He also talks about minimizing distractions and creating a work environment that's conducive to focus and productivity.
It's about being mindful of how we're spending our time and making choices that support our goals.
And he reminds us to take breaks.
Yeah.
We're not machines. We need time to rest and recharge to be our most productive selves.
So true. It's about finding that balance between working hard and taking care of ourselves.
Now let's talk about relationships. Tracy emphasizes that strong relationships are a cornerstone of happiness and fulfillment.
Okay.
He stresses the importance of investing time and effort in nurturing those connections with family, friends, and significant others.
It's about making those relationships a priority and not letting them fall by the wayside.
He talks about the importance of open and honest communication, of listening attentively and expressing our needs and feelings in a respectful way.
Right.
He encourages practicing active listening, which involves paying attention to both the verbal and nonverbal cues of the other person.
Okay.
It's about truly understanding their perspective.
It's about going beyond just hearing words and really trying to connect with the other person's heart.
And he talks about the power of forgiveness.
Yeah.
We all make mistakes.
We do.
And it's important to be able to let go of past hurts and move forward. Holding on to grudges only poisons the relationship.
Forgiveness is definitely a powerful act of self-discipline. It's about choosing to release those negative feelings and create space for healing and growth.
Tracy also highlights the importance of showing appreciation for our loved ones. It's about expressing gratitude for their presence in our lives and letting them know how much we care. It could be as simple as saying thank you or doing something kind for them. It's about making those small gestures of love and appreciation a regular part of our interactions.
It's about being present and mindful in our relationships and not taking our loved ones for granted.
And having fun together, shared laughter adventures, creating memories. It's about making time for joy and connection.
It sounds like Tracy's approach to relationships is very much in line with his overall philosophy, being intentional, disciplined, and proactive.
Absolutely. Now let's move on to health. Tracy emphasizes that good health is essential for a happy and fulfilling life.
Okay.
He stresses the importance of making healthy choices each day, eating nutritious foods, getting regular exercise, getting enough sleep, and managing stress effectively.
It's about taking care of our bodies and minds and recognizing that our health is a precious gift.
He emphasizes that those healthy habits don't have to be complicated or time-consuming. It's about making small changes over time that add up to big results.
It's about finding what works for you and creating a sustainable lifestyle.
He also highlights the importance of listening to our bodies and seeking medical attention when necessary.
Yeah.
It's about being proactive and not ignoring those warning signs.
It's about taking ownership of our health and being advocates for ourselves.
And he encourages developing a positive mindset about health.
Okay.
It's about focusing on our strengths, celebrating our successes, and believing in our ability to achieve our health goals.
It's about that self-love and self-compassion.
Let's dive into one of my favorite topics, happiness.
Hmm.
Tracy believes happiness is a choice, not a result of external circumstances.
Right.
It's about making a conscious decision to focus on the positive, cultivate gratitude, and find joy in the simple things.
It's about choosing to see the glass half full and recognizing that happiness is an inside job.
He talks about the importance of setting goals that align with our values and give us a sense of purpose and direction.
Right.
He reminds us that we are social creatures and that strong relationships are essential for happiness.
It's about nurturing those connections and finding ways to give back to others.
He also emphasizes the importance of taking care of our physical and mental health.
Yeah.
When we feel good physically and mentally, it's easier to experience happiness.
It's about recognizing that our well-being is holistic and that all of these areas are interconnected.
He encourages us to practice gratitude, to live in the present moment, and to find meaning and purpose in our lives.
It sounds like he's advocating for a very mindful approach to happiness.
Mm,
It's about being present, appreciating what we have, and choosing to focus on the good.
exactly. And finally, let's touch on peace of mind. Tracy sees this as a state of inner calm and tranquility
Right.
that we can cultivate through conscious effort and practice.
It's about feeling centered and grounded even when life gets chaotic.
He stresses the importance of developing a positive mindset, practicing gratitude, and letting go of things we can't control.
Right.
He encourages forgiveness, acceptance, and living in the present moment.
It's about choosing to respond to challenges with grace and equanimity rather than reacting with stress and anxiety.
He also talks about the importance of taking care of our physical and mental health and connecting with something larger than ourselves.
It's about finding that sense of peace and purpose that comes from knowing we're part of something bigger than ourselves.
Tracy emphasizes that peace of mind is not a destination but a journey. It's a process of ongoing growth and development. It's about making conscious choices each day that align with our values and bring us joy and fulfillment.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today. From someday I'll to the 1000% formula,
We have.
to the importance of self-discipline in every aspect of life. It's been a fascinating deep dive into Brian Tracy's no excuses philosophy.
I think we can all learn from Tracy's message of self-discipline, persistence, and personal excellence.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that we have the power within us to achieve great things if we're willing to put in the effort.
So true.
It's about taking ownership of our lives and creating the future we want.
So what does this all mean for you? What one area of self-discipline could you focus on to create the biggest positive impact in your life right now?
What one small step can you take today to move closer to your goals? We've just scratched the surface here,
Yeah.
but we hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity and given you some practical takeaways to implement.
Definitely.
Remember, success is not an accident. It's the result of consistent effort, discipline, and a willingness to never give up.
Keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving to become the best version of yourself until next time. Keep diving deep.